Did I?
Yes, you did.
Oh no. I thought I told you.
Hello.
Okay.
All right.
So are we
So,
gonna start with opening statements?
yes, welcome back to the Democratic primary debate part 3. I'm your new moderator, Robert Sanders, and we're here with the candidates. We'll start with their opening statements. Let's start with Governor Triabs.
Uh, Hello everyone. First things first. I'd like to thank Robert Sanders for doing this on such short notice. I'd like to thank all my opponents for coming out today. This campaign is for you, the American people. We are running this campaign to help the average American, to help them get healthcare, to help them pay their bills, to pay their rent, to help them in society, to help them survive in this growing economy. I am running on a platform on universal healthcare, on a universal basic income, and uh, criminal justice and alternative energy. I want a American country that works for everyone and helps everyone, based on love and compassion, not hatred and division, which is what the Joshua Huntington administration has given us. And that's why I believe I'm the best option for president. Thank you. I yield the floor, I guess, would be the term.
Senator Hall of Famer, or Senator QJ, whatever.
QJ Quentin Lewis, Senator, whatever
Yep.
you want to call me, it's
Senator
fine.
Lewis.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I would like to thank Robert for moderating this debate on very short notice, and I would like to say that the Huntington administration is very bad. We desperately need a new administration in there as quick as possible, and I believe I am the candidate for that. I believe in renewable energy resources. I'm a pro-choice candidate. I believe in immigration helps America, and I also believe that the education and healthcare systems need to be reformed so that everybody can enjoy this prosperity of America that we all know it can be. Thank you.
Are you a Senator Terrell?
Yeet.
Senator McCain.
Senator McCann. All right. Anywho, tonight's this third debate is going to be much like the third Lord of the Rings movies. You don't really want to watch, but hey, you've come this far. Round three fight. I want to thank everybody for watching this third part of the first debate. Dang, 3 parts already. Um, but no, this debate we're going to talk about a lot more issues like we did the other 2 parts. Make a long story short, we're going to get to a lot of issues. I hope that we continue to make the issues about the issues and nothing but that. And I really hope that we can come up with solutions that would better benefit the American people, um, as well as everybody back in our respective states. So I look forward to having this debate, and let's get to the questions.
Great. Well, we're going to start off with the economy. So, as most of you may know,
Thank God.
we went through a recession a few years ago, and in 2008. How would you, as president, prepare for a recession upcoming, or reform the economy to, uh, you know, prevent recessions in the future? We'll start with Senator McCann.
All right, thank you. Well, when it comes to a recession, I don't think any president wants to ever think about an economic recession. And that's first thing. And not even if you're a president, but if you're any member of Congress or anything, the first thing first you do not want to ever worry about is a economic recession. And that's what you don't really want to think about because one, when it comes to economic recession, we see things that happen. So what we really need to do here, making sure that we're continuing to have good jobs, good paying jobs. That comes with making sure that we're having good trade deals, making sure that we're uh, raising the minimum wage. There are a lot of factors into the economy, which we really have to look at. Obviously, the president is not getting us good deals. We see that. Um, I know that the president would disagree with that, but really, we're not getting the best trade deals. And I honestly think that's a big part of our economy. That's what I'm pretty sure that my opponents can agree. That's a big part of our economy is our trade deals. We trade with many countries: Canada, Mexico, China. All those trading partners We have to have a deal that would essentially benefit us in the long run. We've been getting the short end of the stick for too long. So with the economy, we're going to make sure we're having good trade deals, make sure that we're continuing to keep the jobs that we have and create even new jobs so that our economy can thrive better than what it is now.
Senator Lewis.
Yes, like Senator Trump McCain, nobody ever want to think about a economic recession. Economic recessions are bad. They're very bad. So, as president, I would see that mainly me and if a Republican is in the House or a Democrat, that we have enough money for all programs so that if one was to run out of money, we can immediately push some more money into it. Recessions are bad. Look, we understand that. So, how do we prevent recessions? Money. So I feel like we should, with the trade deals, like Senator McCann, trade deals with countries all around world, our allies, and like I said, put more money in the system that needs money the most. If they run out of money, find a way to put more money into it. Cut some programs that are lacking, put them into programs that are not lacking, and so forth. Thank you.
Governor Trapes.
I'd like to say thank you for the question. Like everyone said, recessions are bad, obviously. We don't want a recession. We don't want to think about recessions, but it's a simple fact that they will happen. I think the best thing we could do if we have another recession is put more money in the hands of the American people. That would be tax cuts for the middle class, tax cuts for the lower income people, a universal basic income, creating more jobs, a job program. All of those things would really help in a recession. For example, in the Great Depression, we had many works programs. And although that didn't necessarily lift us out of the depression itself, it definitely helped put people to work. We need to focus on putting hands in the working Americans during a recession.
Thank you all for the answers.
Can I
So,
have a rebuttal?
yeah.
All right. Well, so here's what we can do, and I do agree. I just want to bring this up. I do agree with, um, and I do think that we need to ultimately have these tax cuts. But we don't need to go on a rampage and say we're going to give tax cuts to everybody. No. Really, yeah, having tax cuts for the middle class works. Having tax cuts for the lower class works. We've seen that back in the Bush era. When you cut taxes for the rich, then that's where you start leading into all type of issues. People say, "Oh, well, the wealthy is where a lot of our jobs come from." Well, here's the thing: what you fail to realize is if you give them a tax cut, but you continue to have the same tax rate for the everyday American who's still struggling to make barely $50,000 a year, that's where your issues are going to start. So I really just wanted to say that I agree with the governor. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to jobs, which was mentioned a number of times in your answers. So how would you protect manufacturing jobs with new technology entering the workforce and new jobs popping up everywhere in the world? How would you prepare for the transition into more technological jobs as automation becomes more of the primary in manufacturing? And how would you prepare the American workforce for that transition? We'll start with Governor Trapes.
I'd like to say again, thank you for the question. Automation is a thing that's going to happen, no doubt about it. There's nothing that will prevent it. And it's really, for the most part, a good thing, except for the fact that American workers aren't benefiting from it. That's why I, again, am supporting a universal basic income that will get the riches from the automation, from the people who are get the benefits out of automation and give it back to the people in sort of a citizen's dividend. That's what we'll call it, a citizen's dividend. It will be funded through a land value tax and an increase in the corporate tax for the rich, and along with income tax raises for the rich. But to answer your question, yes, automation is going to happen, and we do need to find a solution for it. And I think universal basic income is the perfect solution. And it's also sort of a solution to outsourcing. Outsourcing is a serious problem. And I think that a universal basic income can at least ease the problem until we can find a long-term solution. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the answer, and we're going to let both of you answer that question, but a bombshell article from the Associated Press just came out that President Huntington led secret bombing in Iraq, which is, as you know, a sovereign nation, and we have not declared war on them. How would you respond to this news article, and how would you move forward? How would your foreign policy basically look like if you were elected president? We'll start with Senator Lewis.
Yes, I would classify my three biggest policies as education, foreign policy, and immigration. But the question is foreign policy. Yeah, I get it. I would say foreign policy. I don't agree with bombings. I don't think they're good. I don't like it because the country we bombed will retaliate down the line. And what I've always said is that you need to find a way to communicate with the country that we are not as cool with, or to countries that are not cool with each other. We need to find a way in between to see where we can all meet in the middle, so that we can resolve the issue. If we just, okay, we're going to bomb them, I mean, they're going to retaliate and get their friends to retaliate, and that's going to leave us in awesome mess. And we don't want some mess. So we need to find a way of how we can all, come together, meet in the middle, and find a solution to the problems that we are having with a specific country. I do not agree with bombings. I feel like we should have had a resolution, or see what we would have done to avoid that reason. Thank you.
Senator McCann.
All right, thank you. Well, I can actually agree with my colleague of Michigan. My ideal foreign policy.
Thanks to Rayo.
My ideal foreign policy is finding diplomatic solutions to these issues. Obviously, and this is going into the talking about, should the president be able to have or be able to call for military action or against other countries without Congress authorization. And obviously, I don't think the president should be able to force military action without Congress authorization. And that's basically, I think, what QJ was trying to get across there. I believe that we also should have had a resolution or something on this brought to us before this happened, because knowing the country that we're dealing with, we're going to retaliate. They're going to retaliate against us. And that's honestly what we don't want. So this right here was a prime example of the president doing whatever he wants. This is where Congress authorization needs to come in, and ideally coming up with diplomatic solutions to these issues is the key. And that's where you need to have a strong Secretary of State. Secretary of State needs to do their job so that we can essentially come up with these solutions that would benefit both countries. And that's really my ideal foreign policy.
Governor Trapes.
Okay, so I agree with what both people said. Bombings are terrible things. Yes, obviously, what was it? 15,000 ISIS members died. That's obviously good, but it's really against international law. We didn't declare war on Iraq. I don't think we should be in other countries, because every time we do that, what happens? We get resurgence movements, we get retaliation, we get massive debt. So I think that when it comes to foreign policy, I will push for a foreign policy of more diplomatic solutions and less of aggressive solutions.
Okay, great. Now we'll go back into the transition into automation, and we'll start with Senator McCann.
All right. Automation. So honestly, when it comes to automation, and I'm scratching my head because of this one. Automation, people say automation is good. Really, it's a mix of both. I think Grover did mention this, but by I think is it what 2030, Grover? If we could have close to
2030 2030, about like half of our jobs will be automated.
Yeah, so a lot of our jobs will be gone due to automation. And I disagree that there can't be stuff that would stop it. There is actually things that could stop it. It's automation reduction. It would reduce the amount of advanced machinery that we would have in the workplace. It would not abolish automation completely. It would just be a small decrease in the amount of advanced machinery we have in the workplace, and that would actually work. But really, we need to come up with solutions as to saying, well, advanced machinery that does the work by itself, it puts an American factory worker out of work first things first. So by cutting back on the advanced machinery that we have in the workplace, it would honestly make sure that a lot of manufacturing workers are keeping their jobs. That would keep jobs in our country, and it would not cause jobs to leave. So cutting back on that is essentially a good thing, and I think that whoever the future president of the United States will be, rather it's one of us on the stage or Ricky or Ashton or someone from the Republican side, I hope that they would look into this and see that it is a good solution and it could actually stop the issue for a time until we can find a long-term solution as well.
Thank you. Senator Lewis?
I would say that with most of the jobs, I think you said going to technology, I would kind of like make new programs for job listings and everything like that. Down the line, the technology is going to have some malfunctions, and the malfunctions are going to need to take. We'll need people to fix the malfunctions. So I would say that if we can have people like keep the jobs they have right now and help them transition into more jobs that can help them down the line, that is obviously what I would do in a heartbeat. I love helping people, and I feel like there's always people over the part like I've always said before. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to now move to corruption within the government. As you may or may not know, there have been numerous articles coming out accusing the president of colluding with Russia to win both elections in 2016 and in 2020. How would you combat this, and how would you also fight corruption within the Congress and the general bureaucracies of the American government? We'll start with Senator Lewis.
I feel like corruption in the government is bad, to say the least. Usually, when corruption, like I said, is bad, when you have corruption and people think you have corruption, they tend to lose faith in you as a politician or in you is in the government as a whole. And when people lose faith in the government, they typically just stop caring about the government, which usually makes them not want to vote or not do anything related to that but pay their taxes, and probably that's it. President Huntington is a interesting president, to say the least. He has his own agenda. He don't want to hear from other sides of the story, just his and his alone. And I feel like that's very bad. You need to listen to all sides of the story before you make your own decision. So, as president, if elected, I will make an agenda that is good for all sides and listen to all sides and everyone. And like I said before, I'm big on bipartisanship and just make sure that we can make America as great as we all know it can be. And it's definitely not under the Huntington administration. Thank you.
Governor Trapes.
Thank you for the question. Corruption is bad. I think there are many ways to address it, and I feel like a simple way to address corruption is to find out more ways we could have a more transparent system when it comes to funding campaigns. We could try to make our election ballots easier or less easy to hack. So paper ballots. Also, I think that lobbying reform needs to be done, and I think we need to do a lot to prevent people from getting lots of money from super PACs and corporations and such.
Thank you, Senator McCann.
All right. Well, honestly, when it comes to one colluding with a foreign country, that's honestly could be a potential impeachable offense. First of all, second of all, when it comes to meddling in an election, I think that a big reason as to why that happens is because the machines that we use for voting, a lot of them are outdated, and the government knows that, but they fail to replace those voting machines. So I do agree with Grover that we could use paper ballots, things of that sort. But really combating corruption within the government, I mean, can we stop corruption completely? Absolutely not. I don't believe that there is a way that corruption can be stopped in Washington. Honestly, we want it to be stopped, but I don't think it will be. So essentially, combating corruption in the government, when you see people doing political favors for political gain, for political reasons, that's really a big part of corruption, and we can see that right now. But honestly, combating corruption, you're not going to get a lot of things done. Hopefully, we can come up with something to stop it. But essentially, in the long term, we can't really say that corruption is going to be stopped completely because it's really not. So we're really investigating a lot of these issues within the government, collusion, investigating collusion when we have a special counsel, letting the special counsel do their job, and really finding out the root of the issue so we can solve it and come up with something of that sort so we can have a report and we go from there.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to something that I think you touched on in the first part of the debate, but immigration. How would you reform the immigration system? Most Americans want immigration reform. They want strong borders, but they also understand that immigration was the backbone of this country. So, as president, what would you do to reform it, immigration, and what is your vision for immigration in the future? We'll start with Governor Trapes.
Immigration is an important thing to the country. It's the backbone, like you said, of the country, of the history, excuse me. But right now, I think that we need to focus on an immigration plan that will allow illegal immigrants who come in to have an easier pathway to citizenship, to allow people who are illegal immigrants to obviously get a pathway to citizenship, to get more help when it comes to that, and protecting them from deportation if they're children. Yeah, that's all I really have to say for that question. Thank you.
Senator Lewis.
Yes, I do believe that immigration is a big in our country, and I know people. I think the president kept us in the government shutdown because he wanted a border wall, and I am a huge. I do not like the wall. I do believe it takes away from the civil liberties immigrants may have in the future. I want a smoother transition for immigrants so we can help them out with housing and have them have classes, citizenship classes, and basically helping them out, letting them know that, hey, like, we are with you and we want you to be a United States citizen. I would make sure that immigration, if elected president, will be one of the main targets I tackle, and I would make sure that everyone make sure that everyone knows that, hey, I'm big on immigration. I believe we need to help them out. Classes, schools, housing, helping them find jobs. So we can let them know, like I said before, that we want you to be a U.S. citizen, and this is how we're going to help you, and this is how you can do it with the U.S. government's help. Thank you.
Senator McCann.
Well, I know that I know that the senator is not on the stage, but Senator Shabazz brought up another time he brought up an immigration bill that he did, which obviously I think many people would probably say that it did little to nothing to help out with immigration. When it comes to our immigration, yes, I do agree with both of you that immigration is the backbone of this country, but we have to understand, and this is something that the president has been fighting for, is a wall. And when it comes to a wall, we don't need it. We can have border security without having a wall. That comes with having more technology on the border. If we need to put more troops on the border, that could be a possibility. But having border security can happen without having a wall. So having some sort of technology, whereas we're watching what's going on at the border, and then we can advise the border security agents that hey, this is happening, get to it and stop it. But I want to mention something also because um, what some people don't understand that want a wall is that they can still travel into our country um, without coming across. They have something called water. They have something called tunnels. They can still come into our country illegally, even with having a wall or something there. So essentially, having border security, technology, border agents, and essentially that would probably cut down on the amount of illegal immigration that happens in our country. But I'm also for uh, protecting DACA recipients. They've had no choice. They've been brought here by their parents. We should be doing everything in our power to protect those DACA recipients as well.
Thank you. So obviously, a lot of working Americans think the tax rate is too high for them, and the tax cuts that President Huntington had introduced obviously did not do the job that the working class people thought it was. Thought it was going to do. um, what would you do as president in terms of taxes, and how would you help the middle class and working families prosper in such hard times?
Do I go first on that one?
Yes. Sorry.
All right. Well, thank you. I think I kind of answered this before, but I'll be happy to answer it again. When it comes to our tax cuts, honestly, and I believe that the governor has touched on this too. When it comes to taxes, look, we need to ensure that we're cutting taxes for the middle and lower classes. Also, and I'm going to say this, I would be in favor of raising taxes on the wealthy in order to save programs like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, things of that sort. Meaning people that are part of the top 1%, your taxes will go up. If you're considered to be the top 1%, if you're in the government, then you will be contributing a little bit more. But overall, cutting taxes on our middle class and lower class families is essential. Raising the minimum wage, I'm opposed to really a $15 minimum wage for the simple reason you have to think about it. If you're paying minimum wage in your small business, $15 minimum wage can honestly hurt a small business. So I'm opposed to anything higher than really $12.50. Because really you have to, and that comes with people would say, well, you're just opposed to putting more money in the pockets of American workers. No, you have to think about those small businesses. Small businesses, they're exactly what they sound like. They're small, meaning they're not going to get a lot of money coming in like these big businesses are. So helping out with those small businesses, supporting them, that's why I would be opposed to a $15 minimum wage, but I'm for increasing the minimum wage to no more than $12.50, putting more money into the pockets of American workers and really helping them out with things of that sort. So that's ideally when it comes to taxes, minimum wage, and things of that nature.
Thank you, Governor Trapes.
I'd like to say thank you for the question. When it comes to tax cuts and helping the middle class and the working class, obviously we need to do tax cuts for the working class. It's a simple solution to a lot of problems. Another thing we could do if we can't really cut taxes if some people are opposed to it and it can't pass Senate or Congress. I would support maybe a increasing the minimum wage to like Terrell said, $12 an hour. I feel like in some states it should be $15 an hour. And I get the small business thing. My solution would be to cut taxes for small business, small businesses. As governor of Connecticut, I cut the tax on small businesses, the corporate tax on small businesses, to zero. And I think we should do that for America to help them put more money in the pockets of workers to create more jobs. Now, again, I feel like the best solution though would just be huge tax cuts for the middle class. Yeah, that's my time.
Thank you, Senator Lewis.
I agree with everyone here. I would say definitely letting the rich or the wealthy basically upping their taxes, giving a tax break to the middle and the middle class, the working class, so that we can put more money into the programs that are not doing as well. And to I'm a huge believer of giving teachers a pay raise, and I believe they what they are getting inducted now is it can be changed and upping the minimum wage so that they people can have more money than they have now, so that they won't be feel like they're struggling. Unlike the wealthy that never have to struggle a day in their life, I feel like it's time for them to pay their taxes and pay the money as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a rebuttal very quickly?
Yes.
To the governor, I want to ask you. So by cutting taxes on small businesses, would that essentially, because I just want to get a general understanding, would that help them when it comes to paying the minimum wage to their workers? Say if it is a $15 minimum wage, or will that hurt them?
Cutting taxes for small businesses, it may not help all small businesses, and in fact, something on a side note I forgot to mention: wage subsidies. I would support for small businesses to help them pay their workers, but also for many small businesses, cutting their taxes really would help them increase wages for their workers. But it obviously won't work for every small business.
So it would. So would it help? Would it help them with paying their workers minimum wage?
Yes,
$10?
it would help them pay the minimum wage. Yes, it would.
Well,
and also something else is that a lot of times what would happen if we did increase the minimum wage is that the people who have now more money in their pockets would spend more money in the small business community and the local economy, which would also help grow small businesses. But obviously that might not always be the case. So, yeah.
All right. That's all I have for the governor. I wanted to get a kind of clarification on that.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I have to go. I can continue this later if you guys would want to, maybe.
Okay.
But
always on.
So the final question. So in this trying time for America, this time where we're kind of forking the road in which way we're going to take with our nation, why do you think you should be the one to take us in whatever direction we go into? We'll start with Senator McCann.
Oh, well, thank you. So I'm running for president for the simple reason of making the lives of everyday Americans better. I should be the Democratic nominee because, one, I know how to lead. I think I have the policy. I think I have the determination. And I think I also have the experience to be able to lead this country to be a more prosperous nation. And that's essentially my goal. No matter who will be the Democratic nominee, we must acknowledge that the issues are still here and that we must take the initiative to solve these issues. This is a Democratic primary. We basically all run on the same ideals, but we all have different ideals also. The ultimate goal is to take our country back from the disastrous country that it's been under this administration. So I think I should be a Democratic nominee because I have all the experience, the determination, the willingness, and knowing the issues and being able to tackle the issues. and that's why I think I should be your Democratic nominee.
Thank you. Senator Lewis?
Yes, I do believe that I should be the Democratic nominee because I'm bringing a new change, um, a more big change of like prosperity and what America like really should have, been on the path before President Huntington got in the power, where we help immigrants become U.S. citizens, where we can find the problems between two countries, meet in the middle, and see where we can resolve the issues and education and healthcare reforming those, having the wealthy pay taxes so we can up teacher pay and up the minimum wage. All of this and more, I feel like would be great under my administration because I've kind of introduced them all. So I want to thank Robert. Robert, I want to thank you, and I want to thank my opponents here. And I hope to have your vote, and I hope to be nominee, for, Democratic nominee for President of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Governor Trapes?
Uh, the reason why I believe everyone should vote for me is because I have a lot of experience leading. I led Connecticut. We've had a lot of growth economically. We've done a lot of things, and I would like to continue that, but on a greater stage. I believe that I'm the best candidate because I want to listen to you. I want to listen to the American people. I want to listen to their ideas. I want to do a lot of, you know, talking with the American people. That's what this campaign is about. This campaign is about me doing the work for the American people, or really my administration doing the work for the American people.
Well, thank you. I want to thank all the candidates. I look forward to moderating more debates and talking to each of you and working through the issues and nominating one of us to be the president. Thank you.